am super excited to do some official Define Your Focus training with that I kind of developed after reading a book called Traction by Geno Wickman. So I will be uploading the slides from the presentation that I did in Des Moines, so you can kind of follow them a little bit, some of the slides anyway, to the page. But let me get started by pulling that up so I can go over it better with you. How's everybody's morning? So I decided to make this training go into a couple of parts. One, because I know we all kind of have a little bit of shiny coin syndrome, where sometimes getting focused for a long time, and I think to really properly go through this worksheet, you probably need a solid hour. So for those of us that like to break things up and have things in short little bursts, we're going to have that. And then when we have all of the training done, I'll put them in one post so people can follow all three of them at the same time if they want, or go back and look at them. So I hope that works out for everybody. And I am going to apologize for not having this up. All right, so if you haven't already, download the worksheet that's in the files. It looks like this, and I'm sorry, I know this is backwards. Yes, ADD. Some of us have a lot of that. So this is what the worksheet looks like. It says Define Your Focus at the top. It's 3 pages. I have it front and back here, and then the third page here. And the purpose of this, the purpose of this is so it will help you laser focus what you need to be focused on. It'll help you understand maybe what you're spending a little bit too much time on and where you need to spend time in your business. Like I said, this was a book that I developed this off of a training that I participated in San Antonio with my husband's business. It's called Traction by Geno Wickman. It's really more for brick and mortar businesses. There's a lot of information in there that as a direct seller, I found I wasn't really focused. It didn't help me. It was a little too much information. And had I not been required to read this book prior to this training, I don't know that I would have, and it wasn't the easiest read for me. Morning, good morning. So I have changed his training a little bit to be direct for, really direct to Limelight, but indirect sales in general. It's really going to help you define what you need to be doing with your business and getting that solid laser focus going on. No, okay, my cat is really being a jerk already this morning. Can you believe it? All right, so the one thing that I like to talk about is the thing that this is going to really help you do for those of us that have SOS, shiny coin syndrome. How many people are dealing with some shiny coin syndrome? I like to talk about, when I do this training, I like to talk about maybe the symptoms of shiny coin syndrome, if that's something that you're suffering with. It is a syndrome. It is something you suffer with, and it is treatable. So, you know, it takes some coffee. It's one of the things it takes. And it takes some tenacity, and it takes some dedication in order to get yourself focused away from that. So if noise easily distracts you, you know, things are dinging all around. Amy has annoying teen syndrome. I completely understand that as well. If your daily tasks have little to no direction and you're not really sure what to do, Sarah says you get squirreled easily. If you set large goals but you have no actual plans for tackling those goals, you might have some shiny coin syndrome. If you come up with lots of great ideas that never really get accomplished or finished or planned, you know, if you're the kind of person that, you know you have this great idea that's going to work, and you start, but it never really goes anywhere. And my favorite, if you find yourself wrapped up in OPD, and if you were at my Des Moines training, you know that OPD is other people's drama. And I know in direct sales that happens a lot. If other people's social media posts are really annoying you and get under your skin and you find yourself upset by them, this may be something that you need to focus on, getting rid of that shiny coin syndrome. And if the way I like to finish this out is, if you have taken every single BuzzFeed quiz on the website and you know what kind of pizza you are, you might have some shiny coin syndrome going on. So let's start defining your focus and get your life right. Okay, so if you don't have this printed out already, you may want to pause this worksheet or pause this video if you're following us on the replay and print this out. And you're going to start off by talking about your core values and your keywords. It's important to define what your core values are and what your keywords are, because they're going to help you stay focused in everything you do. So I'm going to give you some examples. We're going to define 5 core values and keywords that speak to you. And I totally came unprepared without a pen. Darn it. Well, the show must go on, people. The show must go on. So I'll be fine. Maybe I could write it down with a lip gloss, because of course I have that. I can't believe I didn't bring pens here with me. What a doofus. Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. So your core values and your keywords. You're going to define what those are, because they're going to help you to, in everything that you do, you're going to ask yourself, does this fit with my core values? And if it doesn't, you're probably spending time on something that doesn't matter. So I'm going to give you some examples of some core values, and I want you to write down 5 words. And if I don't say words that resonate with you, and you have something else that comes to mind, absolutely write those down. But your core values are going to be words like, Ginger, it's in the files of this group. Your core values are going to be words like professional, strategic, organized, great customer service, confident, independent, motivated, ambitious, positive, passionate, honest, innovative, resourceful, dependable, leadership, independent. Did I already say that? I did. Ooh, 2 in 1. Okay. Inspirational, humble, committed, integrity, authentic, responsive, team player, helpful, considerate, happy. Those are all core values that you may consider at writing down in your top 5. Think of 5 words that you really, really resonate with you, and that you want to focus your business around those key words, those core values. So write those down. For me, the words that come to mind for me are professional, customer service, team player, integrity. Those are ones that, independent, those are ones that really, ambitious maybe. Those are the ones that stand on the top of my list. But everybody's list is going to be different, because you have to remember you're in direct sales. You are an independent business person, and the way that you define your focus is the way that the trajectory in which your business is going to go. So you want to have that focused on things that work for you. So the next thing you're going to focus on, and you're going to write down, is your story. Indirect sales, hello. Your story is important. And why you joined the company to begin with is very, very important. So I want you to, let me first tell you why it's important. Do I think the list of qualities changes with color personality? Absolutely, it does. But you have to remember too that everybody has a little bit of each color in them. So it's going to work no matter what your color personality is. So why you joined Limelight is important, because you're going to find moments of frustration when you're working a direct selling business or any business. You're going to be frustrated from time to time, and it's important to write down why you joined and why you're a part of this company at the beginning, because you want to go back to that and you want to refer to that all of the time. And when you have that written down right in front of you, it's a lot easier to look at that and say, this is why I'm a part of this. This is why I joined. And it's a lot easier to get past some of those hiccups and failures, as we talked about last night. or when you have failed, when you can go back to the core of why you started. So write down a few words about why you joined Limelight, and then on number 2 under your story, this is even more important than where you came from, is who you want to be. When you start to define who you want to be in this business, your focus becomes a lot more narrow. When you're able to say, I want to be a strong leader. I want to be the person on stage at conference telling everybody else my story on how I did it and how I overcame obstacles. Or maybe you want to be the kind of person that's able to lead a team full of women that needed this opportunity to improve their lives. Maybe you want to be the kind of leader that inspires others. Maybe you want to be a coach in your and coach people through their business. Maybe you just really want to be a champion for women, or a champion for small business owners, or you want to give the face of direct sales a different stigma. Whatever it is, dream really big. Think about who you want to be in this organization and write that down, because who you want to be is going to keep you focused on your everyday tasks. Does that make sense? When you're focused on who you want to be and where you want to go, when you start to do things that don't meet those, that don't move you toward that goal, when you start to do, you're going to be able to refocus yourself a lot easier. I hope that makes sense. And to dream big. And then write down the things that make you unique. Because here's another thing that people do in direct sales that often gets them in a really icky place. They try to be somebody they're not. They try to emulate someone else's journey. They try to compare themselves too much to somebody else. And really, it's important to write down what makes you unique in your business and in your life, because that's what's going to set you apart from everybody else. I mean, people truly are like a fingerprint. We're all different, and we need to learn to embrace that. So what makes you unique? Are you a winged eyeliner guru? Are you somebody that really loves researching ingredients? Are you somebody that has a personality that people are magnetized to? And here's the one thing you need to be really, really clear about when you're defining what makes you unique, is that you kind of need to brag on yourself a little bit. This isn't a time to be humble. This isn't a time to excuse yourself. This isn't a time to, and this is a private worksheet. This isn't something people are going to see. This is something you're going to keep close to you. You know, if you have a dynamic personality, or, you know, people just love you, or you're wicked smart about things, or you know how to put numbers together better than anybody else, don't be humble. This is a bragging moment, and I promise you, I'm not going to ask to see that. Write down what makes you special, because when you start to write that down and you start to look at that every single day, you're going to want to become that person even more, and those qualities in you are going to stand out more. The more. Get some swagger. Absolutely get some swagger. Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to start to laser focus these goals, and I like to look at this. We're only going to go over the first page of this worksheet today, but think of it as a bullseye, a target. So we're going to start out really wide, and as we go through this worksheet, we're going to bring it in and bring it in and bring it in. And by the time we get done bringing it in, we're going to be really focused on what we need to do in order to catapult our business and to stay focused on the end goal. Since employing these practices, I have had such success with my business, and the things that I would spend time on that didn't really matter previously have made, like, the impact has been huge on how that's changed. So one of the things I want to point out too, and I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, and this was the light bulb moment for me when I heard the author of this book that did this training for me, when I heard him say this. He talked about another book that he had read where the author had interviewed men that, and probably women too, I'm not sure, but definitely men, that were involved in a sport of archery where they rode horses and shot at targets. So they were on a moving horse and shooting a bow and arrow at a target. And the author of this book had interviewed these men, and they always hit their target. They always hit the bullseye every single time. When they got really, really good at their sport, they hit this target every single time. And the author said, "How do you hit the target every time?" And they all said that they put 100% of their energy, of their focus, into hitting that target. So the noise, they had to learn to make the noise disappear. The wind, the air, the horse moving underneath of them, maybe hair blowing in their face, everything else around them, all the other things around them that could detract them from hitting their target had to go away, and they had to focus 100% of their energy on hitting the target. So that's what this training is meant to do for you. It's to help you remove the noise and get 100% of your focus and your tasks on the end result. Really, really, and it works. I promise this works. Okay, so the next step is to define your 3-year goals. I ask people to look forward 3 years because we often, and this is something that Lindsay Colomb brought up to me, we often overestimate what we can do in a short period of time and underestimate what we can do in a long period of time. So I want you to look forward 3 years. And keep this in mind. The average direct seller gets to the top of their company in 2 to 5 years. Real rock stars get to the top in 2 years, and it takes the majority of people 3 to 5 years to get to the top of a company. So we want to look 3 years down the road. Where do you want to be? Again, this is an opportunity for you to dream big. And I want you to write down what your title is going to be in 3 years. Are you going to be a senior director? Are you going to be a star director? Your 3-year goal is really going to depend on the amount of time you're able to put into your business, and you know what that is. And it's okay if your 3-year goal isn't the top, but I hope it is. So you're going to write down, I also want you to define what your PRV is going to be. And for Limelight, that's your personal retail volume, so your personal sales every month. The reason I want you to write this down is because I think it's important to think about where you could be in 3 years with your PRV. The majority of your money is going to come from your personal sales. Like the biggest chunk can come from your personal sales. And that makes you having to rely on you and not having to necessarily rely on your entire downline all of the time. Talking you off a ledge today? Well, good. I don't want you on a ledge. So I want you to think about where your PRV could be. And when we have the recurring order process that we do, think about it. If you added $100 PRV to your goal every single month, where would you be in 3 years? Don't make it like I need to have $10,000 PRV in 3 years. Gosh, I hope you do. But when you think about it in smaller terms like that, having, $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 PRV every single month and have that be something that you do every single month, pretty cool. So, and then I also want you to think about what your TGRV will be. And for Limelight, that is your total group retail volume. So think about what you want your organization to be selling. Are you going to have a $100,000 organization in 3 years? $1 million organization in 3 years? What kind of total team volume are you looking at to build your dreams off of? So that's our wide target, okay? Next, we're going to talk about your personal marketing strategy, because this is something you need to keep in mind every single day. Every single time you open your mouth, you are your own walking billboard. When you open your mouth, when you talk about your company, when you talk about yourself, when you're building your personal brand, on your Facebook page, when you're in social media or in real life, your personal marketing strategy is always following you. People see you as a representative of your company and of yourself because you are an independent business owner. So I want you to write down a few things about your target markets. Who are your target markets? For me, I love talking to women over 40 because women over 40 are women that are tired of their cosmetics not working. They are in, their skin isn't behaving the way that it did 10 and 15 and 20 years ago, and they have a little bit more money to spend on their cosmetics. They also probably have teenagers or young adult daughters or young adult nieces that, to me, that's a great market to go for. You may be in a different place, and that's okay. Think about what your target markets are and write those down, because it'll keep you focused on who you want to be making sure you talk to. So next time you're in line at the grocery store and somebody says, oh, I love your eyeshadow color, and you're looking at her and she's definitely in your target market, you're going to want to think about these messages that you already have in place in order to build your brand to this stranger. Think about your platforms and your networks. So where are you doing your marketing? Are you on social media? Are you the kind of person that wants to talk to anybody and everybody that will listen to you? Do you need to think about getting involved in networking groups? Do you need to think about getting involved in moms groups or exercise classes, or things like that, things that are going to get you out of where you already are and into new places with other people. Being in direct sales means you have to directly get in front of your audience. So you need to start thinking about where your platforms are going to be, your networks are going to be, and how you're going to get your message in front of people. Writing this down simply helps you to start thinking outside of the box and to understand that by just sitting in front of your computer isn't going to get you everywhere you need to be. Hey, Denise. And the next thing I want you to write down is your expertise in your message. So this is going back to what makes you unique, and you being able to focus on where you are an expert and where you want to be an expert. Maybe you are not an expert on skincare ingredients, but you want to become an expert on skincare ingredients. You want to be known as the skincare ingredient guru. And if that's you, write that down. This does not necessarily have to be things that you already are or are already doing, but it needs to be things that you want, that you're looking forward, you want to work on being. Because when you write them down, it starts to become reality. So the last thing we're going to go over today is your 12-month goals. And you're going to see the same list of goals for 6 months, 3 months, and 1 month. Again, we talked earlier about this being a target, and this is going to come in and come in and come in and come in and help you laser focus. So the next thing you're going to write down is your 12-month goals. Where do you realistically want to be in a year? And again, remember, people tend to sorry about that, I got interrupted. People tend to overestimate where they are going to be in a year and underestimate where they can be in 3 to 5 years. So don't overestimate where you can be in a year. Let me give you some examples that I know a lot of people could relate to and understand easily. So I know many people that have taken a year to get from lead beauty guide to lead director. I know other people that took over a year to get from director to lead director. Those jumps can be different for everybody. If you're not sure where your jump what that looks like in 1 year, talk to your upline a little bit, or talk to people that have had some experience if you're not sure what that looks like, or write down a goal that you really want to go for and you really want to achieve in the next year. Define what your PRV and TGRV should look like in a year. Again, do a little bit of math. Think about increasing your PRV by $50 or $100 every month, and your TGRV by $1,000 or $2,000 every month, and just project that out. A year from beauty guide to lead, I hope not. But you know what? If that's your path, that's your path. And sometimes getting those recruits can be a long journey for people. Some of us are great at sales and terrible at recruiting, and vice versa. And if it does take you a little bit longer, I promise you, like, the reward is that much sweeter when you get that figured out. So next, you're going to define what your total team looks like. How many people do you have on your team? How many star director, lead director, director lines do you have? That's just an idea of a way to start sketching things out. And this is going to help you to start looking at your compensation plan to see what you need. Because if you have, up here in your title, if you have lead director here, do you know how many lines that you need to have in order to make that work? And if you don't, that's something to give some really good thought to. The other thing I like to talk about when working on your 12-month goals is the percentage of active beauty guidelines that you have. What does that mean? That means the percentage of people in your organization that are working at any given time. The industry standard is about 30%. So, and the reason I tell you this is because sometimes it can be incredibly frustrating to look at your downline and be like, I have 100 people and only 30 people are doing anything. Well, you know what? That's about average. They always say the 30% rule in direct sales. 30% of people are coming, 30% of people are going, and 30% of people are working. That statistic was important for me to learn because first of all, I had no idea. And second of all, when I only had 30% of my team working at any given time, I thought, well, I guess I'm average, and that's okay. So my goal every month is to have 40% of my beauty guides working, and then write down the number of recruits you would like to have per month. I am not a great or solid recruiter, ever. It's something I am working diligently on every single month, but it's not something I'm great at. So one of the things that I do is I strive to recruit 2 people a month. Other people, that number may be 5 or 10 or 20. And as I've gone through my journey with Limelight, I have learned that that's just something I need to accept, that you're not going to see my name at the top of a recruiting list probably anytime soon. And hopefully I'll get better at that. But for me, 2 recruits a month is a lot. Like last month I had 0. And so far this month I have 0. So it's just how it is. Quality beats quantity, Denise said. I actually have a different theory on that. I used to think that, and what I have learned is you have no idea of knowing what your quality of your recruits are, ever. Sometimes people surprise you all of the time. I've had people come into this business that I thought were going to be amazing rock stars right off the bat and never sold a dime. And I've had people come into this business that I was sure were kidnappers and were kidnappers for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden they came out of nowhere and decided to run their business. So I guess my point is on that is to not make any assumptions on anybody's quality. People will surprise you both ways. 100% of the time, they will surprise you both ways. So, I guess, and I was in that mindset too. So if you are in that mindset that you need to make sure you have quality recruits, yes, like Amy said, don't rule people out. I guess just keep having conversations, keep spreading the word about it, and when the kidnappers join and you're sure they're just going to be a pain in your butt, just accept everybody for who they are and find worth in every single person. So go ahead and fill that out today. I hope you do. I'm going to get mine filled out today, and then we will be going over the next 2 phases. I think I'm going to do the second phase on Sunday evening and the third one on Monday morning, so we can have it all done by Monday. I hope that sounds good to you. All right, I've got a team call in 1 minute with one of my amazing team members. So I'm going to cut this short, or cut this off. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you learned something from this little video, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.